Hello, 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 Mr. McGriffin coming to you from Chicago. As usual, unfortunately, actually had to practice law today. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing I've learned over the last few years, I much more enjoy laughing at other people practicing law than practicing law myself. You would think that would stop me from laughing at other people practicing law, but no, I enjoy their pain. Precisely because I've had to go through it. There's Biggin in there. I just put a link to Biggin's second channel. He had some issue. I won't bore you with the details. I don't know. His channel's, he can't live stream for like a week or something. I don't know. It's temporary. Neither of us can figure out why. But in the meantime, go over there. Give him some love. Give him a like. Remember, you probably haven't subscribed to his second channel because mostly he's reading kids' stories on there. Except now he's actually using the channel. Go give him some love. He had a cool stream a little bit earlier. So today we've got Young Love. We've got a poor guy. This is sent to me by Lokificence Lair. This is all Lokificence Lair's fault. There we go. Thank you. I feel sorry for this kid. This kid screwed up. What he did was wrong. But he's just young and stupid. And I feel bad for him. But here we go. Let's check it out.
Amelia Lopez.
Hi, Judge. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
I could not mention
Yeah.
the 6 years more that we should.
Yeah.
To the next statement.
Yeah.
Are you all ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
Seriously, some days I cannot say Lokificence Lair to save my life, and some days it rolls right off the tongue. I don't know why.
Oh.
Ready, Your Honor.
All right, just give me one moment.
By the way, before we get into it, I think I should say this before I forget. I think his attorney does an excellent job throughout.
All right, the court is calling. I'm sorry, are you ready?
Oh, yes.
All right, court is calling 2025 CR 001990, State versus Amelia Lopez. Can I have parties announced for the record?
Rick Pena for the state of Texas.
Larry Bloomquist for the defense.
And are you Amelia Lopez?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you entered a plea of guilty on April 15th to the offense of burglary of a habitation. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 5 silent. There is a $1,500 fine, and there's to be no contact with the complainant. Parties waived PSI. Does anyone have any witnesses?
I do, Your Honor. And I'd like to just make a quick opening and then I'll call some witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, yes.
Judge, I mean, this situation, and we have Amelia Lopez. Prior to this event, he was studying to become a firefighter. He was attending college classes to become a firefighter. He's going through a breakup. He has a kind of a bad breakup. He's very emotionally connected to this person. He goes to her house. He wants to talk with her. And then it just gets kind of crazy from the...
And I'm so sorry.
No problem, Judge.
Let me see if the jury is available.
Coochie. Gotcha.
Sure thing.
And do this closing argument, and then I'll take your matter up.
Perfect, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Bloomquist,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yes.
And I can't see over my thing.
Anthony Villarreal. Slide.
I have Trevor Bill, make sure you speak loud enough for the court reporter to hear you.
We're back on the record in 2025 CR 001990, State versus Emilio Lopez. And can I have parties reannounced?
Rick Pena for the state of Texas.
Larry Bloomquist for the defense.
All right, and Mr. Bloomquist, you have begun your
Yeah.
opening for the court.
Yes, Judge. I just want to clarify for the court. So My client was in a relationship with the victim. They had been in a lot of a dating relationship. That relationship had gone south. My client was very distraught about
exciting and new.
that. He went to her home to talk with her. I believe the evidence is going to show he didn't have any intent to commit any act of violence against her during that. She opens the door. She's very upset to see him. She starts to yell. Things get out of control.
Meaning she was bleeding out of her hoo-ha.
He does push his way into her apartment and does commit burglary. At some point, she's yelling and he falls on top of her. It's a really regrettable situation. I think the evidence is going to show that Mr. Lopez is taking full responsibility for the actions that he did.
He fell on top of her. That's the hard one right there. Is it like no one's buying that he fell on top of her? No one's buying it. No one.
That day. I believe he understands that what he did was wrong, and then also think the evidence is going to show that this is out of character for Mr. Lopez. And now I'll just call my first witness.
All right.
Can I call Emily Lopez?
Although I have to say, in my own case, I lose my balance a lot around attractive ladies. It can happen.
All right. You'll need to step that way.
Jesus,
All of a sudden, there you are.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
It's
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Emily Lopez.
All right, make sure you keep your voice up so that I can hear. All right, defense, you may proceed.
And how are you related to Emilio Lopez?
He's my little brother.
Okay. And what's the age difference between the two of you?
3 years.
And is he the youngest child in your family?
Yes, sir.
And how many other siblings do you have?
One older brother.
And where did you grow up? What kind of kid was Emilio as you were growing up?
He was a lot. He was very active, very fun. He was very well liked by his friends and our family. Like, we have younger siblings. We all love him a lot.
I think you told me that he was kind of a quiet kid, but all the kids in school liked him. Can you describe that for the court?
Yeah. So he's very active at home.
I don't even know if they care at sentencing, but that's just leading as hell. The prosecutor's silent on this, but mercifully so. Like, we get it. You tried to prep her. She isn't picking up the cues. Just tell her what she needs to say.
In school, he was more on the quiet side. But even then, even like that, the other students would always follow him around, and his opinion, and just like the teachers would kind of use him to guide other students in a way.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then your mom did she have epilepsy?
She gets seizures.
Okay, so she would have seizures. Tell me about how Amelia would react when your mom had seizures.
Well, the first time it happened, he was by himself. He took care of her on his own. But then after that, it was me and my siblings there. But
Begins channel is in my community tab, which they now just call posts. If you look on my channel, I just posted it. He did a stream earlier.
he was a lot calmer, and so he was able to help guide me and my older brother on what to do to help her in the situation and to make sure everybody was safe.
Okay. And that was
We really should get him over 1,000 by the end of this stream. He's almost there. I mean, come on, people.
something that he kind of did whenever she would have a seizure. He would kind of step forward, even though he was the youngest.
It's your responsibility somehow. It's your responsibility to make me look good, okay? Now get out there and do it.
Yes.
The last couple years, so what city do you reside in?
Bryan, Texas.
And at some point, did Emilio come to live with you in Bryan?
Yes, 2 years ago.
Okay. And so when he came there to what was he doing in Bryan?
He was working and trying to get college hours so he could apply to be a firefighter.
Okay. And when he was going through this program to become a firefighter, are you aware that that's no longer an option for him now because of the felony charge, the felony arrest and all that?
Yes.
Okay. And then was that something he really cared about, was trying to become a firefighter?
Yes.
As far as work, where's he been working since he's been there in Bryan, College Station?
He worked.
Like, I get that that's a requirement, but I've worked with and represented a lot of firemen, and I love firemen. Don't get me wrong. But that's a rough crowd. I'm surprised they can maintain a no arrest stance in that profession. I really am.
At Blaze Pizza, he was a shift lead there, I think.
Mhm.
And then he was also a shift lead at a barbecue.
Okay. And is it true that he won Employee of the Month multiple months during the time he was working there?
Yes.
During the time that
I want them to introduce a photo of him parking in the Employee of the Month spot.
Emilio was going through this breakup, did you notice a change in his behavior?
Yeah, he was a lot more, I don't know, like reserved. He spent a lot of time in his room,
Mhm.
didn't really interact with us that much anymore.
Okay.
Can you keep your voice up, please?
And was he really hurt when the relationship ended?
Yes.
And is there anything you want the judge to know before she makes, decides the sentence of Emilio?
We just care about him a lot, so, and I recognize he made a mistake, or he has owned up to it.
And that's something he's been doing throughout.
I probably shouldn't interrupt the stream with this, but before I was doing that, I was looking for something, and I saw that I don't know if this is true, so this might just be gossip, but I saw a video. I didn't have time to look. That Nick Rekieta started an OF account. Oh God! Please tell me that is not true. Tell me, lie to me. Tell me that did not happen.
This process is taking responsibility for what he did.
Yes.
And has he expressed to you that he's upset about how his actions have affected the rest of the people in the family?
Yes.
And how has he done that?
Well, he's told me outright that he knows that he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have put her in that situation, but also he recognizes that we've been affected by it as well.
Okay. And if the judge were to grant Emilio probation, do you have any doubt that he would do everything he could to be successful in doing that? I'll pass witness.
Any questions?
Just to be
Surely you're not speaking of Mr. Rekieta. That can't be. Somebody make the bad man stop.
questions now. I couldn't hear a little bit at the beginning, but you said he's your little brother?
Yes,
And how far apart are you guys in age?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. You're aware that he was in a relationship with the victim in the case? Do you know how long they were dating?
Probably a year and a half.
Do you know if this was his first relationship ever with the girl?
Yes.
First one. Okay. Do you feel that men who do what he did to a woman
Do we have an OF subthread going on here?
should be properly punished? No further questions, Ron.
All right. Thank you so much.
We'll call.
All right. Before you call your next witness, because I'd like to get to the point. This is my understanding.
Oh, that was his sister, and she was sweet, and she was trying to help.
You can come back.
He's
This
got
is
a
my
nice family.
understanding of the facts of this case. How old are you? 22. And at the time this happened in 2024, you're maybe 21.
Yes, sure.
All right.
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing
that's awesome how you can subtract by one there, Judge. I'm just kidding. I love her.
is that you were in a relationship with someone. Your sister testified that this is the first relationship he's ever heard. Does anyone doubt that this was his first relationship?
At this point, I don't have any doubts about that.
All right. So He's in a relationship with somebody for a year. And if my reading of the facts are incorrect, let me know. He's in a relationship with her for a year. They end up breaking up. According to police reports, they're either breaking up by text or phone. And then sometimes they would get back together, then break up again and get back together. He's in College Station. He finds out that during the relationship that maybe he wasn't the only person she was dating.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
So for some reason, this 21-year-old drives all the way from College Station to San Antonio. How long a drive is that?
About 3.5, 4 hours, Your Honor.
Because he's 21 and he's a guy and he's stupid. He's dumber than a bag of hammers. Like all of us were at 21. What he did is wrong. I'm not defending it. But I just feel bad for him because I just feel bad for him. It's so stupid. So stupid. She tells him that later too. And she's right. But it's like anybody who's like lived a few years past it, it's just like, oh, dude, you see that and you just go, all right, bye. You carry on with your day. That's it.
4 hours to talk to her about the breakup of their relationship, and he wants to get back together. So he comes back to the apartment. In the apartment is the complainant he was dating, the complainant's sister, and the sister's boyfriend. Now, they say that he knocks on the door or whatever. No, he enters the door with a key because he had made a copy of the key, which
So he barged in on a throuple. Okay, he deserves everything he gets.
she didn't know he had made a copy of the key during their relationship. She sees him opening the door or whatever. He ends up entering the habitation, which anytime you enter a habitation without permission, any parts of your body or whatever, that becomes the burglary. And then he is talking to her, pushing her back to the room, want to talk about the breakup of the relationship or the facts that she maybe was untrue to him. They go into her
She was.
bedroom. He's pushing her towards the bedroom. Police report, he wants to talk to her. In the report, she says that he has a pocket knife. The officer says, he questions him. He says, yes, I do own a pocket knife, but I never displayed a pocket knife. He never left the apartment. The police don't find a pocket knife in the apartment or a pocket knife on him. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, but there's,
But I mean, there's no pocket knife ever found. Did somebody find a pocket knife?
as an officer of the court, I can say I've spoken to the victim and her sister, and a pocket knife was found by them underneath the victim's bed in her bedroom.
All right. Did somebody call the police and say, hey, you didn't do a proper search? There's a pocket knife underneath the bed?
And I believe they did that after the fact, no.
All right. So
Let me
according
just
to,
add one thing to that, Judge. When he's asked, I think the police officer asked him because after the event, he sits on the stoop and waits for the police to be called. And then when the police officer comes, I think he told him that he had the pocket knife always, that he uses it for his job, but he didn't use it in any way.
oh no, I mean, I'm just going by
Yes,
what
sir.
the police
Yes, Your
report
Honor.
says. Police report says suspect, that's you, stated he did have a pocket knife on his person, but never displayed or brandished the weapon to the victim or other persons in the apartment. It should be documented that the pocket knife was not found on his person or inside the apartment. So now let's get to the point. State is silent, which means they want me to determine whether or not he should go to prison or whether or not he should be placed on deferred adjudication. Does the complainant want him in prison? Does anybody know?
She's right here, Your Honor.
You want to ask her?
Can go ask.
And this is just something for me to consider. It's not saying I'll send him to prison. It's just for me to
No,
consider.
I understand, Judge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a reasonable.
Victim would like prison.
All right. All right. I'll hear the remaining of your witnesses.
Okay, Your Honor, I call Emilio Lopez Sr.
All right. All right. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth or nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up because I have to hear and the court reporter has to hear. All right, if you'll state your name for the record.
Emilio Lopez.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
And how are you related to this other young Emilio Lopez?
It's a good son and trying to make a good life.
Okay. And where did Emilio grow up? What city did he grow up in?
Broadview.
Okay. And then prior to
Oh, Dad is sweet. I like Dad.
and what kind of child was he?
So just a second.
Yeah.
So it would help if you don't turn
Yeah.
towards the defense counsel because you're turning your back
Yeah.
to the court reporter.
Yeah.
All right, if you all want to speak closer to the court reporter, you can. I can hear you from over here.
Okay. Yeah. Just keep your voice up because there's always just when you have 20 people in a room, there's always some shuffling. What kind of child was he growing up?
A good son and trying to get a good life.
Has Emilio ever been in trouble before? Has he ever been arrested for any crime prior to this?
No.
Has Emilio consistently throughout his young life, has he consistently worked at different jobs?
Yes, and Broadview and then in Bryan, Texas.
Okay. And if he is granted probation, would he have a place to stay there with you in either Brownsville?
Yes, in my house.
Okay. And would you also do you believe that he would follow all rules that the court gave him and do everything he could if he was given orders by the court to follow those orders?
Yes, when I do it.
Okay. Has Emilio in his entire life, has he ever shown any acts of violence or any time has he been a violent person?
No. No.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the judge prior to you entering the sentence in this case?
Well, he has sorry. He made a mistake and he's gonna try to be a good boy and good son, like every time.
I'll pass witness at this time.
Any questions?
Just a few questions.
Well, I mean, state your silence. So if it has something to do with any facts that are in dispute,
Not the
then
facts. I'm just going to ask about questions that he was testified to with his relationship with his son, if that's okay. Okay.
I mean, unless the defense has no objection. Yeah, that's fine.
More questions then. Okay.
All right, I have some questions.
Good,
Excuse me.
sir.
Yeah, I have a few questions for you. So, first of all, these are not mistakes your son made. These are choices. He chose to get in a vehicle and drive, right?
Yes.
From College Station to here. So, were you ever aware of his relationship with the complainant? Did you all ever discuss his relationship with the complainant?
I asked him sometimes how was your relation, and he said it was a good relation.
So you're somebody that he can come to or could come to if there were relationship issues.
No, you never told me, but we have seen.
No. I'm talking about in general. Do you and your son have a close relationship? Because the defense has called you,
Okay.
hopefully, and I think he's calling you because you have a close relationship with your son.
Yes. Yeah.
He said he's 22 years old, so you've known him for 22 years. So what is your relationship like with him? Does he discuss with you any relationship issues he's having or any other issues he's having with his life?
No. Just we talk a lot about the jobs and the school and all that. Not the relationship.
All right. So my question is then, did he ever speak to you about his relationship with the complainant in this case?
No.
Did he ever ask you any advice about his relationship with the complainant in this case?
No, it just I would ask him how was your relation, and he said was a good relation.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you. And Your Honor, at this time I call my client, Emilio Lopez.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Emilio Lopez.
All right. You may proceed.
So Emilio, throughout this process, let me back up. So have you been working, let's talk about right before this happened. So you were going to school. What was your goal to become?
My goal was to become a firefighter, and if that didn't work out, I wanted to pursue a career in either IT or join a trade.
Okay. And you were also working at various restaurants during this period of time?
Yes.
And during this period of time, were you being promoted at these restaurants to like supervisory roles?
Yes, and Blaze Pizza, I was a supervisor now, and they were in the talks of making me assistant general manager,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to quit due to a toxic work environment.
Okay.
That I gave Ms. Milligan, I'm assuming bacterial vaginosis.
And then also when you eventually worked at a barbecue restaurant and you were hired on as a management trainee, is that correct?
Yes.
But that company then failed.
Yeah, it went under.
It went under. Okay. And then are you going to be able to be a firefighter now because of these charges? Is that possible for you anymore?
Unfortunately, due to my choices, those doors, they've closed.
Okay.
But if after, like, whatever happens after this, my goal is to still go to college and pursue something that I can do.
Okay. And then the victim in this case, how long were you guys in a relationship for?
I believe it was 2 years, either a year and a half.
Okay. And when this relationship ended, was that emotionally disturbing to you?
Yes, it hit hard, really badly. It was very, I was very distraught.
Okay. And during this time when you were distraught, at some point were you kind of off again, on again for a while?
It was only once. After the breakup, I decided to just work on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was in October, she reached out to me saying that she wanted to get back with me, and I accepted.
Mm-hmm. But she continued to message you during this period of time while you...
That's when you needed to talk to your dad. Because any adult male would have said no, not no, but hell no. No.
After the breakup?
Yes.
Okay. And at this point, when you actually decided to go to her house, what was your intentions when you were going to the house?
I wanted to discuss, again, I found out that during our relationship, our second time getting back together, she was, I guess, cheating on me. She was doing things behind my back with other people, and it just, I felt very betrayed and just ashamed.
Okay. But
Good. I'm glad you're in touch with your feelings. Now, walk away and never look back. You're correct. You were betrayed. Early and often. Stop being around it.
the purpose in driving from her house, well, first of all, let's talk. Did you have a key to her house?
I did. Was when we got back together, I asked, like, hey, like, is it okay if I can stay over, find a job, earn some money, and then go back to college? Because the job in College Station, since it was near the end of the semester, a lot of students left, and there wasn't any jobs to go for. So I asked her if it's okay if I can live with her.
And how long did you stay with her?
I believe it was 2 weeks. Sorry, I believe it was 2 weeks.
And during that time, you got a key to her house. Is that correct?
Yes. We first discussed, because I went with her to get a key, and it was at Walmart, but the key thing didn't work. And the next day I just went.
Okay, this is the worst part of the presentation right here. It's just ugly, and it's not true.
To get another one without her shoes at work.
Okay. But during that period of time, you were actually staying at the house for those 2 weeks full time.
Yes.
And was it your intention initially to stay longer than that?
By the end of I'd say, like, I would go home next year when my second semester started.
Okay. But initially you were going to be there for longer than 2 weeks. Is that correct? Your plan initially was to stay there for how long?
I'd say, I think I stayed there till, or
Not how long were you there? How long did you plan to be there when you were staying there?
I'd say 2-3 months.
Okay. Why did you leave after 2 weeks?
I discovered, so when we were together, we were both comfortable with each other, like taking our phones You know, sometimes she would take my phone and just do whatever she wants with my phone.
Yeah, stop with the justification. You grabbed her phone to spy on her, which is fine, and you got the information you wanted, but nobody's buying that we're comfortable with each other's phones BS, okay? Stop it.
And I discovered that someone was messaging her, and I saw, and it was an unknown name.
Okay.
And
That's why you left?
yes,
Okay.
and that's when I found out.
When you were going there, was it your intention to hurt or scare her?
No,
What was your intention when you got to the house?
well, it was to discuss, like, as to why she did that to me, and if it was what we had, what, like, if it was genuine.
And why did you decide to do that in person or rather than over the phone?
Because in the phone, she would just not text me. She would
Because he's a boy and he's vulnerable and sad and pathetic and doesn't know the right things to do. Obviously, this is all nonsense of the first order, and I get you're his attorney, but oh my God, this hurts. This hurts. He really just needs to get his ass kicked. But honestly, that would be better than anything that the court could give out here.
ignore me, and I kind of I just wanted to discuss as to why she did what she did.
And how did you actually get into the apartment?
I believe she opened the door, and that's when the fight occurred.
When she saw you, she was upset, correct?
Yes,
Did she start yelling?
I believe so.
Okay. And you did push her into the apartment, correct?
Yes,
And then at some point, were you trying to hurt her at any time inside the apartment?
no,
Well, again, why were but you guys were in physical contact, correct?
yes,
And at some point you both fell down?
yes. I believe it was in her.
And yes, that's why I feel bad, because this is his first relationship. He doesn't have anything else to compare it to. He's what he's doing is absolutely wrong. He needs to be punished. He needs to catch a conviction. He needs to be punished. But is he a psycho, or is he just an awkward kid that does it once? I don't know. Time will tell. But he has no other record, so I feel bad for him.
Room. From what I know, I tripped on something because usually her room is very dirty, and I think I tripped either in a piece of clothing or just something that was.
Yeah, it's that dirty bee's fault that I tripped and fell on top of her. Okay, I don't feel bad for him anymore.
Near my foot.
Okay. I mean, and then her sister's boyfriend came and grabbed you. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then what did he do to get you out of the apartment?
I believe he had me in a chokehold, and he just dragged me outside.
And then when you got outside the apartment, why did you wait for the police?
I believe if I left, I believe they would take it as me fleeing the scene, so I decided to just stay there.
Okay. And were you honest with the police officer about going into her apartment and things like that?
Yes, I was.
And I mean, you understand that this would be scary for someone entering their house without them inviting them in?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you feel about that, the fact that you scared her?
I feel awful because then, even though I felt like I was wronged, she was still a good person, and she just never deserved what I did.
Okay. And I mean, are you willing to take all responsibility for what you've done? I mean, this whole process, you've been pretty honest about what happened. And are you willing to take, I mean, you obviously understand that you're responsible for doing this. Are you willing to take full responsibility for that?
Yes, I do.
And are you asking the judge to put you on deferred adjudication today?
I would like to, but I would also understand the other option.
Okay. But if you're given the opportunity to stay out on probation, will you make the most of that opportunity?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what will you do to make the most of that opportunity?
I first, if I do get deferred adjudication, I would try and attempt to get a job, pay my dues, and then pay the amount of debt that I have to my family.
Okay.
Judge has decided what she's going to sentence on this case long ago.
And I'll pass witness at this time.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe you want to say the facts of the case so I can ask questions?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lopez, you testified that you went to the victim's apartment that night, correct?
Yes.
Were you invited by her?
No.
So this was your choice? Okay. When you got to the apartment, you mentioned, actually, no, before that, you said that you had a key to that apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you said you made that key with her permission?
Yes.
She knew the whole time you had a key to her apartment?
He didn't know, but I assumed.
She didn't know.
I guess, yes.
Okay, she didn't know you had a key to the apartment that you made on your own accord?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got to the apartment that day, it was your intention to use that key to enter the apartment, correct?
I did, but I decided not to.
You did not to, okay. So then you met her at the front door, correct?
Correct.
She opens the door because she's wanting to go about her day that
Yeah, that making the key is the worst part. It really is. That really is. That's creepy to the core.
day, right?
Correct.
And you forced your way in with her into the apartment, correct? You pushed her all the way to the back bedroom, correct? There was a scuffle the whole way from the door to the bedroom, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that you hurt her physically?
I believe so.
And
Yes.
are you aware that you scared her substantially?
At the time, I did not.
Well, it would be reasonable for someone in her position to be very scared from what you did to her, right? Okay. Now, you said that the last thing is that you're wanting to take responsibility for what you did,
Yes.
and you understand that responsibility could include going to prison?
Yes.
No further questions, Ron.
Just argument, Judge.
Well, I have some questions.
Sure.
All right. So about this key, you were saying that you assumed you had permission to copy the key.
Yes, because I still had it.
So why did you assume? I heard part of your testimony where you were saying, or correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that you went with her to make a copy of the key, but then something happened and you all couldn't do that?
Yeah. It was the day I came to San Antonio. She gave me the key, and we both went to Walmart to go to the key thing to copy the key, and it wasn't working. So we decided to just leave. And the next day I went to go make a copy of the key.
Okay. And then my other question. So before this happened, how was your relationship?
I would say it, in my opinion, it was good. Obviously there were some arguments here and there, but other than that,
Was there any prior violence?
no.
All right. Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So here's the thing. State is remaining silent, and I have to make a decision on whether or not I think prison is the right place for you. When I was in the DA's office, and I would have third chairs or second chairs sit with me, when we were looking at indicting cases, before I would take a case to the grand jury, I would do my own investigation, because I tell my students this as well. This is your job, right? Hopefully the police are doing their job. They do a thorough investigation. And then the stopgap from somebody getting indicted, right, is the state is supposed to do their job, do their investigation. It's not supposed to be like, okay, the police said they did this. I've read the police report. It appears that they did this. So therefore I'm done. Let me just take this indictment. So whenever I was in the DA's office, what I would do is I would read a police report and look at all the facts in it. And then I would be curious. And I would always tell people, sometimes the questions you have nothing to do with the price of peaches, but then sometimes you may see that, hey, this has to do with the price of peaches, and these are questions that need to be asked. And then my next thing would be is I would then reach out to attorneys and I would say, hey, this is what I would be willing to offer in this case, because I would speak to persons who were sitting with me. I said, okay, we've done our investigation. we believe that this person has committed an offense beyond a reasonable doubt. Then your job as a prosecutor, because you're supposed to be doing justice, that's what's in the code. Prosecutors are not to seek convictions, they're to do justice, right? So then I would ask the person sitting with me, I said, your next question before you even consider taking it to the grand jury, what is the end game? What do you think is justice? Do you think this person should go to prison, or do you think they should have probation? If I felt they should have probation, I would reach out to the defense attorney if they had one at that time and say, hey, I've done the investigation on this. Think this person should have probation. Are they willing to come to an agreement? And then sometimes I would say, okay, this person deserves to have prison. I would reach out to the attorney. This is what I'm offering. And whatever I offered, if I was saying the offer is 5 years prison, if somebody would end up going to jury trial, and sometimes people would get upset with me, they'd go to jury trial and they would be found guilty. And you know what I'd do? I'd stand before the jury during punishment and I would ask for 5 years because that's what the cases were. I would never do this thing where, okay, you want a trial? You going to trial? Fine. I'm no longer offering 5. I'm going to ask this jury for life because to me, the case is worth what it is worth, for want of a better term.
Oh, I'd do that. I'm not above that at all. It's a little something we call a trial tax. You don't say it out loud. You just do it.
So in your situation, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I understand that you're young,
Hell
pardon the
yes.
expression, dumb, in a new relationship, driving all the way from College Station because you believe the person that you're in love with was unfaithful to you. And I try to tell young people, all of these relationships, some of them will last forever. Some of them are crazy, like Romeo and Juliet. I never understood in my school why people were gaga over Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, this is some stupid nonsense where they're killing each other because they're in love. And then when I did my research and discovered how old they were, I was like, oh my gosh, didn't their parents say anything about this relationship? So my question is whether or not, for me, is whether or not you should go to prison. The state is silent. So the state is not telling me yes to prison or no to prison. So I got to figure that out, right? And this is what I am going to do. He's saying that there has been no previous violence in this relationship. So that's what I have to go with because I don't have any other evidence before me that suggests something differently. So here's your choices. These are the only choices you have. Don't come to me with a separate choice. People say that in my court, probation is very difficult. I try to give people the tools they need to be rehabilitated so they won't be back before another court or that I'm passing the problem off to society. So you have a choice. Your choice is I can send you to prison for 2 years, or I can place you on probation and I'll place you on probation for 8 years. And that's deferred adjudication. Those are your two choices.
I would go for probation.
All right. So, and here's the thing with that. I've seen a lot of cases that have come before me, some cases that are worse than yours.
8 years. And a conviction that forecloses a whole bunch of opportunities for him. He screwed up. He is guilty and he deserves to be punished. But damn, 8 years of probation. He had the good sense to not say jail. But honestly, I think this is a good result because here's what we have back and forth. People are like, oh, I think he's psycho, which he could be. I don't know. I feel bad for him because I'm like, he might be psycho, but he might actually just be a stupid kid that only did this. And it wasn't one time. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. He did a bunch of psycho crap to her, and that's why she dumped on him in this circumstance. I guarantee it. He did a bunch of stuff, and that's why she didn't feel comfortable, being honest with him. I wouldn't even call this cheating. She couldn't tell him because she knew he was psycho. But he might have growth and stop it, or he might do this the rest of his life. And if he's on probation for 8 years, I guess we'll have time to find out. Because if he tries this crap in the next 8 years, he's going away.
Sometimes people are offered deferred for cases, and I don't understand why they were offered deferred. But this is where we are. So this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to sentence you to 8 years deferred adjudication. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom
I have growth sometimes.
or in person, regular random UAs.
You don't want to hear about it.
There's to be no contact with the complainant. That relationship is over. You don't have any children together. You don't have any property together. There's no need to call her. There's no reason to text her. If accidentally you receive a text message from her or phone call, that number should then be blocked. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
It's over. And don't get into any other relationships until you work on yourself. Because the fact that somebody may be unfaithful to you or somebody doesn't want to be in a relationship with you anymore shouldn't send you into a spiral. There is to be 200 hours of community service restitution, proof of employment within 30 days, no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And then if he obtains a higher level of education or trade school certificate, the community service hours will be deemed satisfied. Let's see what else is here. There's a $1,500 fine that will be probated. Probation, is there anything else?
Field visits, judge, and possibly anger management.
Thank you. Field visits 1 time per month for 6 months. Anger management. And is he currently in Bear County?
No, Judge. Right now he's residing in Bryan. Is that still correct?
Yes.
But it's your intention to move to your father's house? Is that correct? Or are you planning-
If I, yes, my father's house.
and that's in Brownsville, Texas?
Yes.
And which county is that?
I believe it's Cameron County.
All right. So are you in Bryan for school or something?
Yeah, I was going to Blaine College.
He was going to school, Your Honor, but then what happened is because he picked up these charges, he couldn't proceed with that program because of his arrest. But it's his intention to roll. I talked to him earlier today. It's his intention to re-enroll in school, and I think he also wants to get a job at the same time. So,
All right. Well, they won't do, you don't need a transfer, I don't think, to attend college. So the court will do anger management, a transfer to Brownsville with his father, and he's allowed to attend college. Your client needs to fill out that.
thank you.
Anything, I know you're silent, but are there any other conditions you would request?
Maybe a tap eval and
All right. TAP
just to get
evaluation.
that.
All right. Thank you. TAP evaluation out of custody, follow recommendations. Did you review the trial court certification of defendant's rights to appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it? Because it's plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. You better start making better choices. And let me explain something to you. The state was offering you a cap of 5 salary. You decided to do deferred adjudication. From here on out, everything you do, you need to ask yourself, could this result in me potentially going to prison for 20 years? If the answer is yes, don't do it. If the answer is maybe, don't do it. So you had your liability limited to 5 years. Now your liability is potentially 20 years in the prison. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you. Is there,
Victim impact statement. Yes.
all right, if you just stand over there.
Sorry about that. Zach just sent me something. So I was looking at that and then and I got lost and I couldn't. Thank you. Oh my God. We're handing out. See, there's Zach. And then I go to look. and thank you for the gifts. That's awesome. All right. Should I do this thing from Zach? I don't know. It's Judge Simpson. Let me see if I can get it. One minute.
Court does call the case, people, state of Michigan versus Ryan Busick.
Alexander, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
I have no idea what's going on
Your
here.
Honor, Miles Drew on behalf of Mr. Busick, who is
Thank you,
standing to my
Zach.
right, P number 84554. Mr. Busick, could you please state your name for the record?
Ryan Michael Busick.
Your Honor, I do
Leonard's
believe that your
Unite.
staff should have in their possession by now a substitution of
You're
counsel.
all-
I was
all your
retained
nerd
yesterday
needs.
on Mr. Busick's case, and I believe I have received all the documents the public defender's office had from the prosecutors related to their motion.
You had this.
I'm looking to see if it's a JIS. I have not received.
If you don't, I do have a blank copy. It appears my staff had the judge's name wrong, but I do have a blank copy that I'd be able to sign and provide to the court now.
You see it?
No, I do not see it.
84554.
Mr. Kearney, could you sign off on
Yeah.
on that?
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, happy to put it on a CAO form.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that's okay.
thank you, officer.
Didn't Mr. Allen get another job?
Gotcha.
He got a promotion or something.
Okay. I will sign off on that, but we can proceed at this point. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is the people's motion. You're prepared to argue it at this point?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Counsel, did you receive copies of emails that your client had been forwarding to the court? I think we sent those to the prosecutor.
Correct. I believe that was yesterday.
Yes, I'm in receipt of one email to the court, a copy of the prosecutor's motion with one exhibit attached to it, and then a copy of the police report and the information.
Well, I don't know at what point you got that, because there were 3 emails to the court.
Oh, there was. I am only aware of one email.
Video attachment.
And
I have the one with the video attached.
There were two after that.
there were 2 after that.
May we briefly go off the record so I can review these 2 other emails, Your Honor?
Yeah, what are the, do you have copies of them?
What was that?
I have copies, Your Honor.
He is a fancy lad.
Can we, no, here, well, I've got our copies, so I'm gonna step off then so that he can go through that and talk with his client before we continue on.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Court stands in recess.
Alexander, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
And good afternoon again, Your Honor. Miles Drew on behalf of Mr. Busick, who's approaching my right. And could you please state your name for the record?
Ryan Michael Busick.
All right, thank you. Go ahead. This is your motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, people are going to be requesting our original request of a $50,000 surety bond. In this case, defendant was granted a PR bond. However, the facts of this case are extremely concerning to people. In this case, the defendant went to the victim's residence and was almost interrogating her and accusing her of infidelity. He banged out the door, was told to leave by her. He then forced his way into the home. breaking the door. Officers, when they arrived, saw a broken drywall, the door was off the frame, the lock, the deadbolt was still in the lock position. After entering the house, the defendant then grabbed the victim and threw her onto a bed and was continuing to interrogate her about who she had at the residence. He then pulled down his pants and underwear to his knees, exposing himself, and she stated that he then tried to rape her. While this was happening, he was continuing to interrogate her about infidelity. She was then able to kick the defendant, run away out of the room, and exit the home, where she began to yell for help. Neighbors heard her calling for help.
Oh, this is
After
ugly.
that, the defendant then proceeded to chase her down and tried to stop her by grabbing her arm, causing her to fall. Law enforcement arrived shortly after, and in the videos, see that they both, it was raining and they were both covered in rain and I guess water, I don't know. But it's very concerning, especially given that there was the broken door. And then not only after that, when he gets into custody, one of the two calls he makes, while one of them was prior to bond conditions, it was concerning to the people, given that in that call, he continues that line of interrogation of accusing her of cheating and infidelity on the jail calls. And then the next day, when he's arraigned, after he's arraigned, he calls her again, violating his bond. And it just seems, especially given these emails that we received yesterday, he has this obsessive disposition with this victim, and it's very concerning to people given the facts of this case and his actions after this case occurs. So at this time, we're going to be re-requesting our $50,000 request, and believe that a personal recognizance bond was an abuse of discretion, Your Honor.
Ms. Ross.
And Your Honor, we would admit that there was a call that occurred on the jail line, the one call that is a violation of the court's bond conditions for the no contact. I would note that all the allegations the prosecutor has gone over as it relates to the bond violations were prior to me being retained as counsel. Mr. Busick's a lifelong resident of Ypsilanti. He has a clean eye chat that I've seen, meaning he has no.
That's not a glowing endorsement. You know, all the bad allegations were before I was involved. That's almost a tacit admission right there.
No priors, and accordingly, no capious history. While this is a very serious charge, and Mr. Busick does contest the allegations and is serious about facing them as evidenced by retaining counsel, I would note that there was no injuries or medical treatment and that Mr. Busick did comply with police officers. While I'm not here to litigate the facts of this case in a bond hearing, I think it's evident from looking at this case and the pending case against the complaining witness, where my client is the victim, that they have a dysfunctional long-term relationship that will no longer work out in any capacity as a romantic relationship. I've expressed that to Mr. Busick, and he's been receptive to that feedback. I think it's clear that neither party has treated each other very well. He is living currently in Ypsilanti with his mother, Lisa, who's in court today, his stepdad, Doug, who is also in court today, sister Chelsea, who is not here, but has been in constant communication in my office. His sister Erica is here in court, so he has strong family support in this matter. He does have two children with the complaining witness in this matter, his son Matthew, 4 years old, and daughter Scarlett, 2 years old. It's a shared custody.
Yellen, he tried to sell that. No one's buying it, but he tried to sell it.
Situation where he has the kids on the weekend and about 2 or 3 nights during the week. His mom and sister are facilitating those custody exchanges. And I have expressed not only to Mr. Busick, but to the family, the importance of the no contact order, including that it means no third party contact, and have instructed the family not to discuss this case in any capacity whatsoever with the complaining witness. As for work, Mr. Busick is a journeyman carpenter with the Regional Carpenters and Millwright Union. He has over 10 years experience and 6 years with the union. He has good health coverage through his job that provides for not only him, but his children with the complaining witness. It's our understanding that the complaining witness does not work. And even though there's no child support order in place, he does also provide support to the mother of his children for expenses when she has the kids in her possession. In other words, he is the provider for these children, and they get their health insurance through his job. And that appears to be the only avenue for their health insurance. And he is at risk of losing this job should he go to jail. So, Your Honor, I would, conclude by saying that counsel was retained after all these allegations, that Mr. Busick has no prior criminal record. And I think him and the family maybe didn't understand the scope and importance and severity of a no contact order. I have counseled them at length about that no contact means for any reason.
Yet you have understood about that, counsel?
Your Honor, I think it's somewhat common for people. I know no contact means no contact, and it's very straightforward, but I think people that have no prior history with the criminal justice system sometimes do not think things are as straightforward as they are. He certainly makes no excuses for his behavior, and he knows it's inexcusable to make those calls. We would be asking for a 25,000, 10% with the tether.
But he's still, I mean, from the allegations, I mean, and I'm not making necessarily a presumption of his guilt of those, but he's making certain allegations regarding her infidelity, then ultimately gets arrested. I mean, after creating, I guess, some damage or allegedly creating some damage to the premises, and things not going well because now you're in custody, you're told by the magistrate not to have contact, and what does he do? He has contact. And about the same thing that the allegations are about.
Right. I understand the court's concerns. That's why we are asking for a cash bond in this matter. I would point out that, since he was assaulted in March by the complaining witness, which resulted in felonious charges, these have been some of the hardest and trying months of his life. He has not been in his right state of mind. We're going to be looking to getting him, treatment while on bond and getting evaluated for a treatment course so he can get some support in facing this tough time, Judge. Ultimately, there's no excuse for making the phone call on bond. We understand that the allegations are concerning. We can test them as it relates to the case.
Tell me how I can even be sure that he's going to follow this court's conditions.
Well, I think you have his family sitting right here in the courtroom, that they're accountable, good members of our society that are going to be looking out and holding him accountable. They have, financial interests involved in this case as well. They are living with Ryan. He has no prior record, which I think speaks to the fact that they raised him pretty well up to this trying point here. And I think that the tether, was put in place after these phone calls, and there's been no issues with the exclusion zone. So I think in that respect, the tether is working, Judge. And I think you have members of the community that will be looking out to ensure that your court order is followed by Mr. Busick. And I think this is a real wake-up call for him, quite frankly. This isn't a situation he's used to being into, given his clean criminal record. And I think he's standing up a little bit straighter now after this and understands just how much is on the line after having a stern talking with counsel, both last night and prior to court today, about the severity of the situation that he's in here, Judge.
In the 14B case, isn't there a no contact?
Oh, Judge, they had words last night. I'll tell you who the defendant's not afraid of. His attorney.
There is a no contact order in place.
So what's he doing there? I mean, that's the part that's troublesome to me. He has a case in which he's the alleged victim, right, counsel?
Correct.
He knows there's a no contact provision, right?
Yes. Well, the no contact provision would run to the defendant in that case, which is the complaining witness in this case.
How it works. That's not my point. My point is, why is him knowing that? Why is he at her residence?
Well, Your Honor, I would say that I think, these no contact orders, I mean, he shouldn't have been seeing her, but this is a 10-year relationship that goes back to when they were 16 years old. They have children in common. While I certainly would have liked if this was handled.
So that's all fine and dandy. But he knows she's not supposed to have contact, right?
Well, he believed the condition was dropped. But I mean, I would agree that he should not be having contact.
Where would he get the idea that it was dropped?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
I don't believe that for a minute. I mean, he knows she's not supposed to. I mean, I'll tell you what it sounds like to me. Sounds like to me he's intending on getting the upper hand. So he goes over there and he can basically, in essence, force her to give whatever answers he wants Because the one thing at least he knows or thinks is that if he calls the police, she's in violation, I'm not.
No, I don't think that that's the situation going on. I mean, when the police officers did bring up the no contact order on the scene, he said that he had thought it had been dropped. I mean, I think he's simply concerned about, you know, these beliefs of infidelity, Your Honor. It's an improper way of going about it without doubt. But given that he has no record, he hasn't had any trying situations, he's only 26 years old, any trying situations like this in his life, I would view this as kind of a one-off situation that now that he has the accountability structure in place with his family, being aware of what's going on, being in the courtroom here supporting him, that this type of behavior would not continue. And I expect him to
Jessica's in private practice now.
comply with all court orders going forward, Judge.
Anything else from people?
Nothing, I mean, I just have concerns given what the court stated with the no contact order in the 14B case, and given that the victim in her interview with police at the scene states that they're separating, so I don't know why he would go to her residence to accuse her of this break-in and assault her. I just don't understand. But nothing else from the people as far as this goes, Your Honor.
All right, and I think you know this, counsel. What I really should do is I should revoke his bond. He doesn't make it a day before he's violating the bond condition.
I understand the court's concern. This is
not just, it's not. What is troublesome for me is that he violates the bond condition. And when we look at the transcript of what he's talking about in the very first part, it's just a continuation of what got him there in the first place.
And I think this, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the stern talking to that I've had with both him and his family about the, you know, concerning nature of these allegations, the phone call transcript, I think that he's been very receptive to my feedback.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This stream needed some levity. It really did at this point. Thank you, counsel. That was beautiful.
Feedback, and I don't see that this being an issue going forward. This was, you know, within a day of the incident, his emotions were still very, you know, high in charge. It's obviously no excuse for doing what he did, but given that
counsel, that's part of my problem. Part of my problem is it doesn't seem that he can de-escalate because he gets involved in this thing, gets arrested. This fixation that he has on this infidelity, even after he's arraigned, even after he's warned, admonished what he can do, what he can't do. Within hours of that, he can't step back. He just can't.
I understand the court's concern. I would say, you know, while I would not have advised him to send any of those emails to the court, you know, the fact that he's reaching out to the court, not to her, is some indication of change from the, you know, Friday before.
No, it's really not.
He's not reaching out to her. I certainly would not have advised him to say send those emails, and I've instructed him going forward not to do anything like that and to run anything he's doing with these cases through counsel going forward.
Even the emails are concerning. In the emails, he's trying to get her in trouble, trying to use this as leverage against her in the other case. He just can't stop. Even if it's not contacting her, it's this continued obsessive feelings towards this victim.
You know, I'm certainly not pleased with the emails being sent, but I would note that it does appear that there are potentially bond violations on the other case. That's not a concern for this court here. But it's not like he's making up and frivolly.
Why is it even his?
Your Honor, I have no good explanation for that.
Tell me what your client's purpose in sending those to the court. What was the purpose in sending those to the court?
Wanted to alert them of the bond violations that have been alerted of in his case, Your Honor. It's not anything that he's proud of, but, you know, he was going to change his actions going forward.
It's not my court. He knows what court it's in. Why is he sending it here?
I think people commonly get confused about the 14th.
Counsel, look at the very first email. He's not confused. because he's real clear about what he thinks is happening with her defaming him.
I meant the confusion
Counsel?
about 14A or 14B, Judge. I
No,
understand.
but
what
I'm
you're
saying, why did he send it here? I'm not the judge. He knows it. He's not confused about what court it is at all.
Well, I think he did believe he was reporting it to the court of record, albeit mistakenly, Judge.
Is he gonna tell me that if I put him under oath that he thinks he's sending it to the right place?
Yes, he was.
Because I know, there is no way. Why is it coming right now?
I sent it.
What time, when were those videos taken? When were those videos taken?
About a month ago. And that was,
She's got a winter sweater on in like May? Really? So if you had them for a month and you think you're contacting that court, what took you so long?
There's no excuse for the timing, Judge.
No, what took him so long? This is his story. He's trying to convince me that he can behave.
would you like me to speak?
Go ahead.
So I didn't want to contact the court because, yes, we were working on things and I spoke in front of you and I believe that the no contact was dropped so we could start to work on things. I came in front of you and said that during her case one day.
Your Honor, I would note that it was charged as a felony case, and I know you typically sit on the PCC docket, so you may have been a judge that appeared on that case at some point. My understanding is that currently it is just the misdemeanor domestic violence charge that is still pending against the complaining witness, but I do believe it was a felony case where it's possible you would have been a judge that sat on that docket.
And Your Honor, if the court does remember, you were on that case for PCCs, but the people had declined to address the no contact and change it, given concerns of the case.
You were looking to report these month-old alleged bond violations. Why did the court need to know that now she's defaming you?
I just said there's no excuse for sending it.
There's no excuse for the slander.
What?
No excuse for the slander.
Yeah, but how is that a bond violation?
I believe there was an understanding from Mr. Busick that
That was fun. I might have to clip that. It's attorney whispering something that we can all hear, and then him repeating it like a mope.
that there was some kind of no alcohol or no drug provision as part of her
It really reminds me of Fish Called Wanda when his client says, "Tell those pigs to F off." And John Cleese turns around and says, "F off, pigs."
trial release order. I believe that's what he understood. Whether that is or is not the case, I'm not sure, Judge.
But then it says, and is now causing defamation against me. Why is that important to the other court?
It's not.
Yeah, it's only important to this court.
Correct.
In this bond hearing.
And I did believe that it was still here. I didn't know it was at 14B.
How come you didn't go through your attorney to send this?
I was not retained at that time, Your Honor.
No, I'm talking, you had a PD at the time. Why didn't you go through her?
I did try to call her that morning after speaking to the prosecutors, I believe. But I was at work and I missed her call back.
When, yesterday?
Yesterday, yes.
So you just decided that you just send it?
Well, yeah, so I called the courthouse on my break and I said, you know, where do I contact for breaking bond? I should not have, Your Honor.
Why was it so important for you to report her breaking bond? So let's assume it to be true. Why was that so important right now?
Well, it wasn't
Careful how you answer me.
correct. It
Because, no, listen. Why was it so important to do that? You had just received an emergency bond motion to change your bond. You then start sending stuff. Why is it so important to now report what you say is a month old? I think they're older than that. The month-old video. Why is it so important to do that this week?
I wasn't thinking, Your Honor.
Why was it so important? I don't care. What was your thinking? Whether clear or not, what was your thinking?
I mean, I really wasn't thinking. I suppose I really wasn't thinking clearly. I'm not too sure.
Oh, I suspect the court could hear Mr. Busick there. I mean,
I
he has no justification. He clearly wasn't thinking straight. I mean, I think he was feeling the pressure of the bond violations in this case, was aware that, or thought he was aware that she may be violating her bond. There's no good justification. There's no answer that we're going to provide you, Judge, that
So
ultimately
what
satisfies
makes
you.
me not believe that as he feels the pressure of this case, that he doesn't lash out and do something?
Well, I think his children.
Why would I believe that? He had counsel at the time.
I don't think he had the same trust relationship with that counsel that he has now. And I think knowing how much his children's health care is on the line because of this, because his job is on the line.
It's all on the line. It was
Absolutely.
on the line after he was arrested. It was on the line when he made that call. It was on the line when he starts sending these emails. It's always been on the line. I don't know why he can't recognize that. And that leads me to believe that no matter what I tell him, he can't do it. If he doesn't understand that from the very beginning, what's at stake. And I do believe that he went over to that unit. Now, he went over there to get her in trouble, just like these emails. That's what he's doing.
No, I don't think that the facts when the case is litigated will show that that was his intention at all, Your Honor. I understand the court having concerns, but I think not only, my talking with him, but now this, bond violation hearing in front of his parents, I think he's going to be standing much straighter. I think he understands it. I wish he was a quicker learner.
It shouldn't take his parents to make him stand up and do right.
And it doesn't, Your Honor. I think that he'll prove that going forward on bond. And I think bond, to the extent that he needs help, he can get better help and services outside of jail than he could inside.
Frankly, they shouldn't have to be here.
Right, and he agrees.
I mean, even if the prosecutor objected, they shouldn't have to be here.
Right, and Mr. Busick agrees. He's embarrassed and shamed by what he is putting, not only himself, but his family through in this. He's not proud to be here today, Your Honor.
When is this B6C set?
Thursday.
12.
So this Thursday. Well, I understand what the people's request, I understand what the defendant's request is. I don't think since he's gotten out until he's called to the carpet, this defendant really does conduct himself appropriately. I don't think that has anything to do with his parents or his family or his upbringing or anything along those lines. He just can't do it. And then starts sending, he's got an attorney. And he's just sending these emails to the court, accusing her of things. He's in her proximity. He doesn't need to be around her at all. He doesn't need to be contacted. And he just continued, and that's the part that is striking to me, is the allegations in this case was that he's arguing about some infidelity. He gets arrested. He goes to jail. He gets arraigned. And at no point after that whole process, after they told him, don't contact her, don't talk to her, he's got attorneys, he's all of those things. What does he do? He calls her again to berate on her. And it's very clear from her responses in the transcript. She doesn't want to talk to him about that. And he just keeps on. And then, if that isn't enough, he then says, oh, okay, well, just like paraphrasing, well, if you won't answer me, I'm going to try to get you in trouble and get you locked up. So I'm going to send this a month after. He's just playing games. And quite frankly, if he's playing games, he's playing with the wrong judge to play those games. Defendant's bond is going to be set, and the court is going to find on two bases. One, his violation after the bond terms were set, the court can review his bond. But I also think, given the way this defendant is exemplified by everything, that it was indeed an abuse of discretion to set his bond at a personal or cognizant bond in this case. Defendant's bond will be reset. The conditions still apply. His bond will be reset at $50,000 cash surety.
Would you consider a 10% provision, Judge?
Cash surety. You can raise it again if you want to on the 12th, but right now he's going.
Fair enough. I hope you and your staff have a great day.
You do the same, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Oh, good Lord. I forgot what I said. Thank y'all for coming out. I'll see you soon.